We will call the working meeting February 6, 2025 of the Lincoln County Board of Education to order. Jen will lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The vision statement. The vision of Lincoln County Schools is to empower every student with the knowledge and skills necessary to become college, career, and citizenship ready by providing high-quality education and enriching opportunities in every classroom every day. Mission statement. Every student, every classroom, every day, college, career, and citizenship ready.
Before we set the agenda, there's a couple of changes. We're going to move the action items before the discussion items. And 4A under discussion will be moved to next week. Do I hear a motion to set the agenda?
I'll make a motion.
Tyler, second. Jen, vote. Lisa? Yes. Philip?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yes.
And I vote yes. We have a presentation, Diana Hart and Chad Davis. And then we have one. Kim.
All right, so we are just going to give a shortened version of the CDIP and go over the strong points. Can we go to the next slide? So I felt like it was important to talk about this summer when we did our district retreat with our administrators. These are the district big rocks. These are the things that we have focused all of our efforts around this year, and we reference them quite frequently. And you may remember hearing about them when the schools did their individual presentations because they focused their efforts around the same three things. So quality standards-based instruction driven by continuous data analysis, individualized targeted instruction and accommodations for our special education students, and then culture and climate.
So, firstly, I love having the TV here because I don't have to do this, but I also can't see without the So just a little bit about the accountability system, and I could go on for an hour trying to explain all the pieces to it. But our schools are rated and are given a color rating, and the top chart shows how those color ratings are determined. You have a status score that's based on individual student scores in the different subject areas. And then you have a change score, which is your change, positive or negative, from the prior year. Status and change are put together to determine the color rating. And that, the top chart kind of explains how that goes. The bottom will tell you how the different subject areas are weighted. You can see reading and math is the largest portion. Science, social studies, and writing is lumped together. English learner progress, we don't have enough students that are EL to be accountable for those. So that 5% gets distributed equally among the other areas. You have quality of school and climate and safety, post-secondary readiness, and graduation rate at the high school level. So if y'all have any questions as you go through, just please ask.
And we did want to add, we based our CDIP based on this accountability system because this is currently what's in place. There's obviously a new accountability system that has been proposed but not approved yet. So we will change this as a new accountability system comes into play. And if you've been in education, you know that that changes anytime there's a change in leadership. So it's par for the core. We will still have big goals that we set for all of our schools. So we're going to talk about what our goals are, and then we're going to talk about later in the presentation about what we're doing to meet these goals. So we set goals by 2027 because we have a long-term plan and things we have in place to reach these goals. So in order to do that, our current system chunks reading and math together. And so our goal is for all of our schools to at least be green. We would love to have all blue schools, but our current goal is to at least be green. So in order to do that, we would need a 7-point jump in math and reading with our elementary schools. Our middle school would need a 15-point jump, and then our high school would need a 6-point jump in math and reading alone, which is attainable and can be done. And then our science, social studies, and writing goals, that is also areas that are clumped together with the state accountability system. In order to be green, our elementaries would need a 5-point increase, middle school 10-point, and high school 9-point increase.
Just a note on the, let me go back for just a second. On the science, statewide, the science scores last year were not very good at all, particularly at the high school level. So found out a week or so ago that the science test is actually being revamped for this year. I don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but it's going to have a lot of field test items in it. Because scores in science on the Kentucky State Assessment were not matching scores on ACT, for example, at the high school level. Big discrepancies everywhere. So I'm glad that the state's looking at that and realizing that changes need to be made. So we'll know more about what that's going to look like, going forward.
This is still me, I'm sorry. Our next goal, these are both specific to the high school. So first thing that we want our post-secondary readiness to increase from 84.7 to 100. And that is definitely attainable, and it is a goal that you heard Mr. Pageant, and you also heard Mr. Todd talk about those things. That is their strength area, and we're excited to see that increase because they have really put a lot of energy into making sure kids are ready to transition to whatever's next in life. And just for those of you that may not know, there are lots of ways that you can meet that benchmark. So if you could meet it on the ACT by getting an 18 in English, 19 in math, and 20 in reading. I have to put it in order so that I get it right. And so that's one way you can do it. You could do it by taking an AP class, and that's a 3 is typically what's considered, passing at most universities. Some require higher, but statewide, if you get a 3, then since most universities accept a 3, that could get you ready. You could take a dual credit class and a score a C or higher. You could attain an industry certification within our high school or within our ATC. So there's lots of different ways to do that. And I love that the state has recognized, instead of making you meet in multiple areas, any one of those things can make you, post-secondary ready, which is fantastic. So our goal is to have 100% of kids that are ready. That's attainable. And then our graduation rate to increase from 95.7 to 98. I could talk about graduation rate, and it is a little bit confusing, but just the shortened version of it is you are put in a cohort, so however many students enter 9th grade, and then however many graduate that cohort in 4 years. There's also a 5-year cohort. Did you do everything you could to get them across? If they didn't make it in 4 years, 5 years. And then those are averaged together for your overall graduation rate.
The next area is culture and climate. All students take the Quality School and Climate and Safety Survey each year, and basically they're answering questions about safety of the building. Do they feel safe? Is student behavior addressed appropriately and in a timely manner? Do they feel like there's someone on staff that cares about them that they can go talk to? So all these things that make school a good place to be. And you can see and let me say this too, the cut scores for green are different at the elementary, middle, and high school level. So they're not the same. So if you see that elementary is a 75 and it's green, and then high school is a 65 and it's green, that's because of the differences in cut scores. And I'm just throwing out numbers. I don't know that those are right. But so our goals by May of 2027, we would like to see the elementaries collectively increase by 3 points. We'd like to see the middle school increase by 6 points and the high school increase by 3 points. And we've been making gains in those areas. So these are definitely doable, but we also didn't want to make them too easy. We always want to challenge ourselves to be the best we can be. So there's our culture and climate. The next slide talks about our special ed population. This is an area where obviously we placed a lot of focus because our special ed students in many areas are performing well below the overall student population. So our goals for our special ed population is decrease the percentage scoring novice in reading and math by 12%, decrease the percentage scoring novice by 14%. So the first one would be elementary, second is middle, and third is high school. And that's decreased the number scoring novice at high school level by 12%. So you can see we need to make double-digit decreases in our novice performance for our students with disabilities. And our middle school is TSI, and that's the reason. It's novice scores and their special ed population.
So there's lots of things we're doing, and we had a hard time condensing it down, but we tried to focus on the big things that we've been working on and will continue working on. We have HQIR that we've purchased, and we made sure that we followed not only the law, but we're ahead of the game with math. So we have reading series that are HQIR K through 12, math K through 12, science 6 through 8, and then we are part of a new writing PD that we're partnering that we mentioned to you guys with Danville. That's going to take 2 years to train all our trainers, so we'll do it in pieces. But it's going to make a universal K through 12 writing program, and we're going to have writing experts in every single building that are trainers, so that you have an expert in your building no matter where you teach. So I mentioned that in number 2 as well. We want to do, and you'll hear more about this when Mr. Beeler's up, but we really want to do a deep dive into improving our curriculum maps. And when I say that, we really want to revisit the standards. We want to make sure that our teachers understand and are truly using the standard to create learning targets. And that the learning targets are manageable chunks for students to understand the goal when they walk in that classroom. Is there a measurable verb that matches the verb in the standard? So lots of work to do there. And that we've known that this is a need in our district, but finding the time to really get grade level teachers together to do this work is difficult. And it's hard to do it just sporadically throughout the year. So you'll hear from Mr. Beeler later, because we do have a plan where we could accomplish those goals if we had the time with staff that we could put grade levels together and accomplish this work. Yes.
Okay. Kind of along those lines, we have professional development for all administrators in the district. So all of our principals, a lot of our assistants are attending measurable results for the CKEC co-op. What that's going to do is align everything K through 12. We're all on the same page. We're all speaking the same language. When you walk into any classroom, you're going to see the same things happening as far as student engagement, what instruction looks like. And a lot of that ties back to number 3, learning targets and student engagement, curriculum maps, making sure we're teaching the standards and teaching what students need to know, not whatever's in the textbook that we purchased, which are oftentimes, well, always not 100% aligned with the standards. So we want to be standards aligned, and we want our administrators to lead that charge. So we're all attending this training. We also have our district math coach who's working in all schools, and our district GT teacher who's working on all schools. Again, that just provides the consistency and cohesiveness that we need to make sure that everybody in the district's on the same page. And finally, we've invested a lot of resources and time in coaching for our district instructional coaches. We have a lot of new staff, a lot of new teachers, as does every district in the state. And one thing that they need is mentorship. They need support. They need coaching on what good instruction looks like, how to plan quality lessons, how to plan quality assessments. So that's been a huge focus for us this year, is making sure that they have the support that they need and that guidance, so that they are successful, that they not only successful in the classroom, but they feel success as a professional, and we keep them around and we don't lose them as educators, because that's something that happens all too often as people leave the profession. So we want to make sure that doesn't happen.
And we've really worked hard to make sure that our teachers and everybody in the school sees our instructional coaches as truly a coach. They are not an evaluator. They are a safe space that you can go to when you need assistance. And making sure that our principals are the leading instructional leader in that building. So we're proud of that work. Any questions for us?
Sounds good.
Yes, very nice presentation. Thank you, Diana. Now we have Pam, early childhood.
So you'll have the full copy in your documents, but I'm just gonna go over a condensed version, so I pulled out some that are specific for our goals.
I'm getting there.
Okay. So. These are the program goals that our mid-year report is focusing on. So we focus on our class, our ITers and ECRs walkthroughs, and percentages for our child goals. And then for our family engagement goals, we focused on the parent engagement piece, and then parents' engagement and involvement in having regular attendance for their children. So our goal is to be at 90% for attendance, and you can see that our preschool program, we're at 87.74%, and our early head start, we're at 82.94%. Class scores. So as a program, we would like to see 6 across all areas and all domains. This is our early program, and you can see that we are almost there. You can see, let me skip over here. You can see that, so the blue is Lincoln County, and then the national average is in orange. So emotional and behavior support, we're at 6.8. And then engaged support for learning, we're at 5.6, but our total average is 6.1. And then for our preschool program, it's the same color. Our program is the blue, and then the national average is orange. So for the program, for emotional support, we're at 5.73. Classroom organization, we're at 5.26. Instructional support, we're at 4.35 with a total average of 5.12. For ITers and ECRs walkthroughs, for our early program, again, we want them to be at 6 across all domains. And we have actually met that goal. You can see that each area, they are at least at a 6. TPOT is not something that is necessarily in our program goals, but this is an initiative that the state has taken on that stands for Teaching Pyramid Observation Tool. And whenever they come in and do their All-Stars evaluation next year on us, this is one of the instruments that they'll be using. So we wanted to go ahead and start implementing that so that we can kind of see where we're going to be. So the Kentucky Initiative for Preschool, the goal is at 80%, so you can kind of see where everyone falls. The percentages there. Family engagement. Our program, we would like to see 85% of parents supporting regular attendance. So you can see that preschool Head Start, we're at 77%, early Head Start's at 81%, and the program's at 77%. And then the last slide, this is family engagement. Our program goal is 90%. And you can see some of the different activities that our program offers to families. And you can see, so when we look at number of surveys to return, and you can see homework backpacks, all of those different areas, we would like to have 90% participation by the end of the year. Any questions?
Thank you, Kim. Okay, we'll be moving into the action items, but I meant to say this earlier, and I wanted to thank a couple of companies that gave us donations, and I forgot to do the last time. Pleasant View Church gave Waynesburg Book Club $1,000, and Lafayette Engineering gave $2,000 to our seniors for their senior trip. And I also want to thank the Transportation Department. Jeff Crew did a great job, I thought, this morning. Of course, you never can satisfy everybody, but that's okay. We got our kids here safe and in an appropriate way, and I think it was well done. I appreciate what Mr. Smith did, and well, Jeff and all of it, the teachers, the principals, everybody that was involved in getting our kids here safely this morning. Thank you. So we'll move to our action items. And the first one is change of order number 1 for Kings Mountain Project. And we have someone here from Sherman Carter Farm.
My name is Patrick Polk. I'm with Sherman Carter Barnhart Architects. And the change order is for the abatement of the building. There's some mercury thermostats. There's some lead still in the sealant and everything. So with that change order, it takes the total to 158,195. For the revised BG1, it was estimated 180,000. So even with the third party, gonna have a third party reviewer to make sure everything's abated properly. With that included, that still leaves $19,000 in your general fund. So we do not expect any more change orders after this. And if it's approved, then we go ahead and send out the notice to proceed on Monday, and you'll see fences going up within the next few days.
Any questions? Any discussion? Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve change order number 1 in the amount of $73,350 for the Kings Mountain Elementary Building demolition? Lisa made a motion, second.
Oh, I'll second.
Jen, second. Vote, Lisa. Philip,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
B5B, E-rate system purchases, Tracy.
We are coming into the end of a 5-year cycle of E-rate. And this is for category 2. And for those of you who don't really know what E-rate is, it's money we get from the federal government for technology, and it's based on our free and reduced lunch rate. So we get category 1, which is funding of our fiber internet connection at 90% reduced cost. And we get, like we would call a network refresh, which is what I'm gonna talk about tonight, at an 85% reduced cost. So we haven't had any network upgrades in at least 5 years, because this money is we're gonna lose this money if we don't use it now. So that includes wiring, switches, wireless apps, installation for technology infrastructure, backup batteries, those kind of things. So we don't lose technology at any time. So it would be a complete network upgrade for all schools and central office. The total amount of the project from E-rate is $541,915. With our discount, E-rate will pay $460,627. The district would be responsible for $81,288. And with working with Ms. Leanne Smith, the general fund would take care of $40,644, and KEDS money would take care of $40,644. So with that, with your approval, it would be that we could go ahead and work with E-rate to apply for vendors to come in and look at our schools and give us a price for what we need, and for me to be able to sign all the necessary paperwork within the USAC system at E-rate. Any questions?
What's the timeline on that?
We would start taking, I think March 26th is when you can start signing contracts. The work would not start till July 1. Money will come from the federal government July 1, but you're gonna have contracts in place by the end of March, 1st of April to get the work ready.
Any other questions?
Leanne, you feel good with this? Yeah.
I'm holding them purse strings pretty tight, but we came up with a compromise.
Do I hear a motion to approve the application for bids and purchase in the E-rate system and authority to sign all necessary paperwork with the E-rate system? Do you hear a motion?
Make motion.
Philip, first, second. Lisa, second. Vote, Lisa.
Yes.
Philip,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Tyler.
Yes.
And I vote yes. 5C, the 2024-2025 revised calendar. Mr. Anthony Beaver.
On January the 10th and January the 31st, we had a snow day and a water break and had to cancel school. Therefore, we need to revise the school calendar. I'm requesting that the school board approve the revised 24-25 calendar as attached. January the 10th and January the 31st would become snow days and the water break days. February the 17th and March the 14th become school days. May the 27th and 28th become staff days. May the 29th becomes closing day, and May the 30th would be the required makeup day. Now, I've noticed on the calendar there is a typo on there. January the 31st in your color calendar should be red. So that would be the only change that I'll say.
Hopefully this is the last
That's
one.
right.
Hopefully it is. I'm about counting.
With our
that.
luck
I've done
this year,
2
we'll
or 3
probably-
revisions of 2 or 3 different ones, so.
We've got a little bit of everything. Do I hear a motion to approve the 2025 revised calendar?
I'll make a motion.
And Tyler first, Jen second, Lisa, vote? Yes. Philip?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
Anthony. 5D, special education consultant, Julie.
We currently have 5 moderate to severe disability classrooms in the district. 3 of those have teachers that are not certified in moderate to severe disabilities. One of them's a sub, so we've got a lot of needs. So I'm just looking to bring a consultant in who has 30 years of experience working across all grade levels in moderate to severe disabilities to help kind of guide them and help the students improve. This would be with IDEA funds. Her daily rate is $281.76. We're doing up to 30 days between now and the end of the year, which would be approximately $8,452.
Any questions?
I'll just say that she'll be worth every penny of it because I know her and have worked with her, and I have seen her work sometimes short of just miracles with students. And actually, when Jay was in kindergarten or maybe first grade, she had retired once before she retired again. And he was in tier 3 pullout for reading. And she came in part-time and made a world's worth of difference for him. So she will be wonderful.
Any other comments, questions? Do I hear a motion to approve the contract with Mrs. Mullany?
Elaine.
Special education consultant for up to 30 days at a daily rate of $281.76. Lisa made a motion, Jen second, vote, Lisa? Yes. Philip?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yes.
And I vote yes. 5E, a Valentine's dance at Waynesburg, Mr. Wheeler, and I don't.
He couldn't be with us this
Okay.
evening. This is just requesting approval for their fundraiser. You have that information in your packet.
Okay, any questions? Okay, do I hear a motion to approve the February 13th, 2025 Valentine's dance at Waynesburg Elementary?
Make a motion.
Philip made motion,
I'll second.
Tyler second. Vote, Lisa? Yes. Philip?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, we're going to move back to our discussion items. And as I said, Kathy couldn't be with us. She had, so we're moving that to next week. This is her annual wellness report card. So we'll go to 4B, tentative section 7, staff allocation formula. Deanne.
And we are required to provide a tentative Section 7 staffing to our schools and their site-based councils by March the 1st. So we always do the tentative approval in February meeting. And then in April, we will do the final approval of that. So I'm just asking for approval. I don't think, let me take a look here. I did make one small change because I remember we discussed it last year. If you look on page 2, under security staff, previously it had read, employed by the board as deemed necessary for the physical safety of students and the preservation of board assets. And I think last year we decided that was kind of vague. And so I have changed that to read, each school shall be provided with one school resource officer. So that is how that will read on there for the time being. So that's the only change from last year.
Any questions?
Is there any discussion about this at any point other than this and then the final?
There can be, sure.
Is there a separate meeting for it, or is this it? I'm just asking. I don't know.
Typically, we just keep the staffing levels the same. So basically, this is formulas to determine how many counselors does the elementary school get, how many counselors does the middle school and high school get based on student numbers. So if you take a look there, We have tweaked those some through the years, but again, unless I have feedback or, any requests to change those, I don't make changes. I'm not in the classrooms, in the schools really to be able to say, these are needs or here are where we're not meeting needs, and I haven't heard anything of that. So it's kind of up to you guys if you want to discuss, make changes, or entertain any recommendations.
What about the principals? Do you guys look at this and have any input on it?
Well, yeah, usually we get, and we'll talk with Lee and if we see anything that's.
The latest change that we made, I believe, a year ago, 2 years ago, we did some adjustment on the attendance clerk. But again, it's just kind of, if you guys feel there needs to be a change, or if you've been told of an area that you think needs some tweaking on the formula, but I just usually keep it the same.
I will
Unless-
tell you, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I will tell you, there's a bill up right now to clean up the language about the SROs. Like this year, we only received the 20,000 per campus. So they're going to put per SRO if that all is passed. So we would be getting 140 instead of 120.
If you want, I don't care to kind of read through the categories, whatever your preference is.
No, it's okay for now. That was really just me trying to figure out how it all comes together.
Sure.
That I didn't know if principals got together and did it, site-based council, or if it's just, this is what we go off of and this is how we do it.
I think previously changes have come either from the board or the superintendent. And I would assume input's been gathered from building level administrators to recommend those changes.
And what we do is she sets up a meeting and like all of us meet with each principal and go through their allocation.
Use all of those.
Like be the directors, Liam, myself, and like the Julie, Diana, Chad, go through and say this is what you're.
So basically, once these formulas are approved, we will take the student count from each school and plug it in. So instead of saying, if you're between 1 and 150 students, you'll get 0.16 of a counselor. It makes a lot more sense when we can say you have X number of students, so you're going to get this much of a counselor. You have this many students, now you're going to get 2 specials teachers. So we have a spreadsheet and kind of plug all that in and say, here's what you look like, here's what you look like currently, here are some changes. You're going to have to cut probably a teacher next year because your student numbers have dropped. But these formulas are actually what drive the staffing numbers and the levels at each school.
And I will tell you, being former board member, about the last change that we made was on the attendance clerks.
Yeah.
So they've been this way for several years.
Yeah.
Well, the child teacher ratios are set by the state anyway.
Yeah, actually, and that's on the section 4 and 5. Yeah, but yes, that's correct. That's set on there. So no, to answer your question, I don't typically come in with like, oh, let's change this and change that, because unless there's a need or there's been feedback to say this isn't working, there's really nothing on my part to signal that there needs to be an adjustment to any of the formulas. You guys are welcome to reach out to building level admins and see if there are areas that they have concern about. But I haven't heard anything.
All right, thank you.
Okay, 4C, tentative sections 4 and 5 staff allocation formulas.
So this is the same thing. It's just a different name, section 4 and 5. This is our certified and classified staffing. These are the positions that we are legally required to provide in a school. You have to have a principal, you have to have the kindergarten assistants, you have to have, those are the things we have to have. And as Christine mentioned, there are thresholds that the state puts out on the student to teacher ratio. And we are actually lower than the state threshold on grades 4 through 12, K through 3, we match, which is 24-1. Grades 4 through 12, we have it set at 25-1. But again, it's just kind of setting, if you have this many students, then here's what you're allocated based on our formulas.
I think that caps off as like 31, I think,
So,
for the upper grade.
Grade 4 is 28-1, grade 5 and 6 is 29-1, and grade 7 through 12 is 31-1. But we are at 25-1 for all those. Yeah.
And we're
There's a lot of kids in one class
Yeah.
for one person.
Right.
Any questions, any discussion?
Now, we can make changes. We could make changes between now and next Thursday when we approve the tentative. There can be changes made between the tentative approval and the final approval, which we'll do at the April meeting. So there is time to gather input or feedback and recommend changes, and then that's up to you guys to decide if you want to move forward with that.
Okay, 4D insurance quotes, Leanne.
Yes, this is on our student accident insurance policy, which we have in place, and we've used Roberts Insurance for the whole time I've been here. They actually cover most of the districts, I think, in the state with their student accident insurance. So they go out and get quotes for us and then make a recommendation on who we want to go with for the coming year. This amount, the premium amount has stayed the same, I think, every year I've been here, but this year it went up $625. I will not complain about $625. The lowest quote was from the Hartford. So for next school year, the total premium would be $81,385.80. Now, just a little bit of information about the student accident policy. We are not required to have a student accident insurance policy, but it is coverage for all of our students and athletes. And so if we go with the Hartford, they would cover any accident up to $25,000. And then after it hits $25,000, it goes with a catastrophic company, which is Zurich, and it covers up to like $7.5 million, I think, on a claim per student. Likewise, if a student athlete participating in a KHSAA event is injured, then our policy picks up the first $25,000, but after the $25,000, it goes to KHSAA for them to pick up. So it covers students that get hurt at school, on the playground, if they're playing basketball, just things like that. He did remark, our agent, that we paid out quite a bit more this last year. So he was thankful that our premium didn't go up substantially. So I'm guessing that maybe the insurance company thinks that's a bit of an anomaly based on our track record and didn't, jump that up. But it's something that's used pretty frequently. I mean, if you talk to your schools, I mean, somebody's getting hurt all the time, and I think it's a great product that we have in place that helps families if their student is to become injured.
Any other questions? 4E drug testing services, Leanne.
We currently have Cornerstone Diagnostic that we use for our drug testing, and talked to Tracy and Mr. Krager, and they indicated that we would like to continue with Cornerstone. Tracy reached out and they said the pricing would remain the same as this current year, so we would like to continue with Cornerstone Diagnostic for the 25-26 school year.
What is the cost for that contract? It's not listed anywhere here.
I could get that pricing and share it.
It depends
What
on the
cost
test,
per?
the
Yes.
test specifically.
I think it went up to $65 per.
So we don't pay them.
Like
flat
DOT
fee.
pays
No.
more than what a student test would cost. It depends on the specific test.
But I could pull the list of,
I think his answer's fine. I
Okay.
just-
Has it gone up like last year?
it
It
did.
used to be 45, I think it went up to 65.
Yeah.
Like we conducted some today.
I think a student test is like 15 now, because they'll do an in-house test first. And if they test negative, they don't send it off to the lab. So it's cheaper than what it used to be, but it just depends.
And the district ones may be different than DOT because we have to have, ours are more, they have to report differently, and so it's a little bit more than just the scan they run for, employees.
I will pull that pricing though and have Colleen add it to the e-meeting, just so you can see it for your reference. But it's got a lot of different things. If it's this type of test or this type of test, just to give you an idea. But no, it's not a flat rate. It is a per use. We're invoiced for however many times we use a particular service.
Any other questions? Thank you, Leanne. 4F bids for mowing services. Brad Smith.
We received 12 mowing bids. Over the past few days, I've evaluated the bids. based on the criteria of the bid amount, checking references and the equipment that was listed. Mainly focusing on the lowest bids. Obviously, we want the best price we can get, but we also want someone who can adequately do these jobs. They're going to both be very important, public-facing jobs, obviously. Really pleased to get 12 mowing bids. We had a lot of people come by, talked to a lot of different people. I thought that was really good. My recommendation in going through the criteria is on the mowing is to accept bidder number 5 on your bid sheet. That is the low bid, and did due diligence on the references, and I feel comfortable with bidder number 5 there.
Appreciate the table.
I have to find.
You better think in.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
You didn't have to say that.
I love the table, but
I was gonna say it if you didn't.
I can't do it. I thought about it.
You had a ruler out.
Here's how I work right here. See, I'm scribble. I've got notes like that everywhere. Yeah, you all should have a list of all of them there, Mo.
Okay.
Pretty competitive throughout, you'll see. To give you a reference point, Lean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think 1,696 is what the last bid was per mow. So this is actually gonna be a little bit cheaper.
Any questions? Okay, 4G bids for snow removal services. And
Same.
I'm glad you added that.
Yeah, so we have kind of been testing that out some, and it's went well. Gonna evaluate this year and see if we need to change the way we do it after a year, but it came at a good time because we got a couple pretty good storms, and it was very helpful to have the ability to do that. So I'm looking forward to having that in our tool bag all the time going forward. Same thing, really good reception. We got 8 bids. I kind of did the exact same thing. I evaluated the bids based on bid amount, references listed, equipment listed, and looking through those 8, my recommendation on there, if everybody's got it handy, is going to be bidder number 4. And that is based on checking the references and the equipment sheets, and most of all with the snowing, the proximity of that company. They are local, and I feel more comfortable. We have to call somebody at 4 o'clock in the morning to come remove something. If they're within a few miles of here, especially when you look at, you all have the prices there, you'll see it's right in line too. So I would feel comfortable using them.
Do you think they have enough equipment, like the equipment that they have listed, as opposed to how many facilities and parking lots?
I do, and I'll tell you why. It's a great question, Jen. That is actually, I have used them on this last snow, and I thought they were able to handle that, and that was about as good of a storm we're going to get. So it was actually a good trial, just on a one-time basis. They're using them. Didn't feel comfortable, like I said, with the references on some of the others there in that range, and also the proximity of the companies for snow removal. Not, just I didn't feel comfortable moving forward with that. So that would be my recommendation.
And that's them not only doing like the removal of the snow, but salting.
They salt,
everything we want
yeah,
salted.
custodian salt sidewalks. And then, so these companies they'll be responsible for parking lots, drives, salt. And even on, like, we do some of the salting still. I actually had our guys out during this seemingly 3-week snowstorm. Like, hey, it's Gary Stone again. Let's go, hey, let's get some salt down. And they got, I think we got a lot of compliments. Even here, it was, I think you said you didn't come sliding in. You were happy that one. So I think they're capable of handling it. And the good thing about this, it's a 1-year contract. We can renew it after 1 year for two more.
We can renew it for 2 more years, or we can
So
rebid it next
we get
year.
to this point next year, and we're like, not real satisfied with that. We have the ability, we'll do the same thing again. I think there's some things I want to evaluate this first year of doing this too, to see if there's some ways to maybe even save some more money doing it. The way this works now, that's the reason you all will see it listed out the way it is. Let's say you all know how this county works. I mean, you see it every time we have a rain or snow. South end of the county, you get up on top of Hall's Gap, they'll get 2 or 3 more inches of snow. During this last one, Jeff and I kept checking the roads, South end, Crab Orchard, terrible shape. You come to Stanford or the west side, and everybody's like, why aren't we having school? So to that point, just because we asked this unit to go out, we may not send them to all these facilities. I may say, hey, I've been to Highland and Waynesburg, I need you to hit those 2 and not even do the other ones. So that's why we piecemealed it in the bid process, and they know that. It's not a, grand total
Yeah, we
every
don't get
time you
paid
do
for
it,
all
right?
of them
It's
every
wherever
time
they
you
go,
go.
right?
Yeah.
Yep. And I actually did that some during the storm. Some of the areas were worse than others, so that will be the way we do it. We'll look at it for a year. If we're not satisfied with the way it's going, I feel like we should reevaluate them. But I think this is a good starting point to see how we like it.
Any other questions? 4H, thank you, Brad.
Thank you all.
Clinical education agreement, Diana.
So we're just asking that you approve the continuous clinical education agreement with the University of Kentucky to implement educational experience opportunities for University of Kentucky students so they can get clinical hours.
Any questions? All right, thank you. 4I, 2025-2026 school calendar, Anthony.
Our academic division has requested that we revise next year's school calendar and make it into a variable calendar. The reason for this is that we feel it would be beneficial for teachers to work on curriculum maps, learning targets, and common assessments before the school year begins. Kind of give them a head start on everything, that way that they can be more effective throughout the year. We would still be meeting the required 1,062 instructional hours, but we would be removing 8 student instructional days and replacing them with 8 staff work days. Anytime you do a variable calendar, the first student day cannot be before the first Monday closest to the 26th. And that would put the first student day to be August the 25th. And if you have any questions, we'll try to address them.
Parents are gonna love you. They
The
get to keep their
calendar
kids
committee
until the
looked at it,
25th.
I think it'll be
Everybody
good
was
for the
favorable.
teachers to be
Yeah,
able
oh, great, I
to,
think it'd be great.
Front loading's a good thing.
yeah,
I
get
think.
fully prepared instead of day one and trying to
Right. or
do it
mixed
all
throughout
and,
the year.
I've tried to do it the other way throughout the year, but and it's not effective. So I think it's right.
Well, with what, we're wanting to do with all the curriculum, like Chad and Diana addressed. And we need kind of 1 year at least, and then we can look at it, see if it's something we want to continue. Also, I think there's about a couple of days built in time.
couple of snow days that
That
they built
we
in
probably
already on
could
it.
use as well. Because if you're not using a variable calendar, you cannot do that. You're tied into the 170, 172, whatever has been approved in your school calendar. So,
Plus we have our NTI days, so it kind of puts us a little bit ahead
I think it's great.
for snow.
I know the teachers will greatly appreciate it. Any questions? Okay, Anthony, 4J, 2026-2027 school calendar.
The calendar committee met and reviewed options for the 26-27 school calendar. And what we decided on was a calendar that almost mirrors our current calendar perfectly. 170 instructional days, 4 holidays, 4 flexible professional development days, 2 days, for opening and closing, August the 11th. The closing would be, May the 21st. 5 staff work days, August the 6th, August the 10th, September the 18th, January the 4th, and March the 12th. And then, of course, we have to have 4 makeup days because we missed 4 days this year. We're going through the past 5 years. We have to look at that to determine how many makeup days we have. But it's pretty much just a mirror of what we've currently got.
Any questions? Okay, Anthony, 4K MOA with the Commonwealth of Kentucky for SEBT.
The Cabinet for Health and Family Services is providing a grant award to cover expenses for SEBT implementation and operation. It's work that we've been doing, but they're asking for us to do the work monthly now. And so I'm requesting that we approve the award. Our maximum award is $6,000 so that we can actually get paid for the work that we're doing.
Is there any cost of it? That will we pay, or does this come from?
It's just uploading documents from Infinite Campus.
Any questions?
We're gonna get any back pay on this?
I don't think so.
I wish, I always ask.
Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you very much.
All right, going for L 2025-2026 eligibility criteria for Head Start. Kim?
In preparing for the continuation grant for the upcoming year, we're seeking approval for the 25-26 school year eligibility criteria. According to 45 CFR 130.14, the program has annually established selection criteria that weigh the prioritization of selection of participants.
That's both for early and
It's for
Head Start.
early and Head Start preschool, correct?
Any questions? 4M 2024-2025 revised early childhood calendars.
We are seeking approval to revise our calendars as well for the snow day and the water break. So for our early Head Start, we would be adding that to the end of the year. So they would make that on May the 30th and be an in-session day for students, and closing day would now be June 4th for teachers. So they're hopefully no more days.
Pray for no more, right?
Pray for no more, yeah. And then for the Head Start preschool, we would, students would come on February the 17th, and then their closing day would be May 29th. We weren't in session. It was a no school day on the water break day, so the kids don't actually have to make that up, but the staff do.
One thing with Head Start and early Head Start, but would help you to understand this, they go by hours, not days. And so that's why their early has a lot more hours that they have to attend. Okay, Kim, for in agreement with, is it Equus?
Equus, I think so.
Workforce
I think that's how you
Services.
pronounce it. So we're seeking approval to enter a master agreement with Equus Workforce. The purpose of the agreement is to provide paid work experience opportunities to individuals who have been deemed eligible and appropriate for the youth work experience, adult internship, and or the transitional employment training program services. This would begin upon completion of that master agreement. So basically what that means is they would be providing us a candidate. They would do all of the onboarding for us, and we would have that person that would be able to work in our facilities for 480 hours. And then after the 480 hours, they would be paying that portion. After that 480 hours, then we would either look at them, if there was a position open, that then encouraging them to apply and go through that criteria, or maybe getting on the sub list or something along those lines. But I see it as a win-win because they were actually, they chose us because we're a 4-star program for all stars. And it said that we are a high demand area because of education and childcare. So that was the reason why they were providing us this opportunity.
Any questions? Okay, moving on for, transportation waiver.
This is also for our continuation grant. So according to Head Start Performance Standard 1303.71, we're supposed to have child restraint systems or seatbelts on transportation, and that's not feasible. So we can ask for a waiver so that we can provide opportunities for our preschool students to go on field trips. This does not apply to early.
Any questions? Okay, 4P Early Childhood Training Plan.
This is also for our continuation grant. So we're seeking approval for the 25-26 school year policy council and Board of Education training plan. This is part of the TTA plan, or the training and technical assistance plan, in accordance with Head Start Act 648. We are required to provide professional development for our governing bodies and policy council members.
Any questions? Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Was there any public comment? Okay. I need a motion to move to closed session per KRS 61.8101F, discussion which might lead to the discipline of a student. Jen, Tyler, vote, Lisa, Philip,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Tyler, and I vote yes. I declare that we're back into open session. Make a motion to adjourn. Jen, second. Lisa, vote Lisa. Yes. Philip,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Philip, and I vote yes.
Um,
All right,
no,
Tyler. I turned right. Tyler, yes, and I vote yes. It's been a long day.
Yeah.